Welcome to Outlaws and Gunslingers. From the Wild West to the rise of organized crime during the Prohibition, all the way up to today, America has had criminals, gangs, and law enforcement trying to bring them down. Join us as we profile some of the most infamous criminals, gangsters, outlaws, and lawmen in American history. True crime like you've never heard it before. Ladies and gentlemen, here are your hosts, Bang and Dang.
Welcome back to Outlaws Gunslingers, which I was Bang and Dang. And the second of a back-to-back remastered for this month. After going through Cimarron and Las Vegas, New Mexico last week, this guy we're covering was in both of those towns. His name is Doc Holliday.
The Doc.
One of the baddest mother effers.
A.K.A. Val Kilmer.
Right, a.k.a. Huckleberry. A.k.a. Lunger.
Wasn't it never Huckleberry? It was something else. Supposedly the saying is I'm your Huckleberry or something else. What is it?
I don't know.
Oh, man. I don't even think he says Huckleberry in the movie, does he?
He does. Yeah, but it's something else that they used to say. But, yeah, Doc Holliday. Before we get into it, go check out our YouTube at Bang Dang Network. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple. If you're listening on YouTube, go check out our Spotify, Apple podcasts. Share us with your friends. Answer that Spotify question. Like, subscribe. You know everything you do for all the places that you listen to this stuff at. Doc Holliday. You think he's the most famous? Nah, obviously Wyatt Earp is, right? Doc Holliday more famous than Wild Bill?
Doc Holliday more famous, most likely.
I would say. Obviously.
He's probably right up there with Wyatt and Billy the Kid. Jesse James.
I think it goes Wyatt, Billy, and then Doc.
Maybe Jesse James.
Jesse James is decent, but not as popular as... Probably not even as popular as Wild Bill. Or Bonnie. I mean, Bonnie and Clyde's not Wild West, but...
Pretty much.
The most outlawed, portrayed outlaws, probably Billy the Kid.
Yeah. Wyatt Earp.
Butch Cassidy, I guess.
Yeah.
They loved Butch Cassidy back in the 50s and 60s.
They did. There was a shitload of fucking movies.
Yep,
TV shows.
Sure was.
There was even a cartoon.
It could have been. An adult cartoon.
Right.
Doc Holliday. He was born August 14th, 1851. To Henry Burroughs and Alice Jane Holliday. What was his name? Oh, his name was John Henry. His name was John Henry Holliday. He was of English and Scottish ancestry. His father served in 3 major wars, which was the Indian War, the Mexican-American War, and the Civil War as a Confederate. When returning home from the Mexican-American War, he had an orphaned Mexican boy with him named Francisco Hidalgo. Doc also had a sister named Martha Eleonora, who was born before him, but died in infancy before he was born.
Oh, damn.
Major Holliday inherited a piece of land in Valdosta, Georgia. While there, Doc studied Greek, Latin, and French at the Valdosta Institute. His dad became an important man in the community, serving 2 terms as mayor, was secretary of the County Agricultural Society, member of the Masonic Lodge, secretary of the Confederate Veterans Camp, and superintendent of local elections. Look at this guy, man.
And they let a rebel be superintendent of elections?
Well, it's Georgia.
Right. All right. Look at that shit. 16th September, 1866. Old Doc, he's 15 years old. His mama died of tuberculosis. But back in those days, they called it consumption.
Yeah.
This was a heavy blow to young Doc, as he and his mother were very, very close. His daddy would remarry only 3 months later.
He was already...
Rachel Martin.
He was already banging this chick.
And you know how that goes. 1870, Doc, 19 now. He enrolled in Pennsylvania College of Dentistry. He wanted to be a dentist. No, you're going to build toys for the kids.
I am nothing but a nitwit.
Well, the Pennsylvania College of Dentistry is a college that his cousin founded. So I bet he had no problem getting in that.
You can't not getting that.
Right. Doc graduated 1st of March, 1872, age of 20. But because the requirement to get your dental license was 21, he had to wait 6 months. He moved to St. Louis, Missouri to work as an assistant for a classmate named A. Jamison Fuches Jr. Then about 4 months later, he moved to Atlanta. And he joined Arthur C. Ford's dental practice. It was advertised in local papers that old Doc, he was substitute for Ford while he was attending dental meetings.
A lot of the dental meetings apparently back then, huh?
Guess so.
Well, Doc was known to be hot-tempered. One incident in 1873, he went to a swimming hole that he and some friends had cleared out to use. When they got there, they saw that there were a group of African-American boys swimming there.
Uh-oh.
Susan McKee Thomas, who was the daughter of Doc's uncle, said that he told her that they rode in on the Negroes swimming in part of the Withlacoochee River they had cleared. The presence of the Negroes enraged Doc, and he drew his pistol and shot over the heads to scare them off.
Oh, shit.
In a profile of Doc written by Bat Masterson in 1907, he said that Doc Holliday pointed a double-barreled shotgun at them, and when they exited the hole, he shot and killed 2 of them.
I doubt it.
This is obviously disputed by Holliday's family, and any researcher that's worth their salt has not found any evidence of this either.
We all know Bat Masterson. You can't listen to anything that guy has to say.
He is a source material for
A
a
lot.
lot of Doc and Wyatt stuff.
Not long after starting his dental practice in Atlanta, he was diagnosed with tuberculosis himself. Probably got it from his mother.
Mother gave it to him.
Damn. His brother Francisco also had it and died from it.
Poor guy.
After consulting a few physicians, they told him he only had short time to live, and moving to a drier climate would help him live longer. In October 1873, he packed up and headed to Dallas, the last big city before the unknown frontier. Although Bat Masterson wrote in 1907 that Doc moved to Dallas because of the watering hole situation. That don't make no sense. Why would he do that? I don't think they would have cared in Georgia or Atlanta, right?
Well, you still kill people. It's 1870 something.
When he got to Dallas, old Doc, he partnered with a Dr. John Seeger, who was a friend of his dad's. They won awards together, annual fairs of the North Texas Agricultural, Mechanical, and Bloodstock Association at the Dallas County Fair.
All right. Well, they won best set of teeth in gold, best in vulcanized rubber, and best set of artificial teeth and dentalware. Good for them. Their office was located on Elm Street between Market and Austin Streets. After dissolving their practice on March 12, 1874, Doc opened up his own practice over the Dallas County Bank at the corner of Main and Lamar. That didn't last long, though, because, you know, him and his coughing fits, while he's got the old TB, his business started to decline. You can't be coughing in people's faces.
Right, when you got the mouth wide open and you're spitting
Your
tuberculosis all over them.
Right, and your hands are, like, jerking forward when you got knives and stuff in people's gums. Well, this forced him to find another way to make a living, and what do you think that's going to be?
Oh, man. He's like, there's nothing else I can do. Nothing else I can do. Oh, wait, there is something I can do. Doc, he was an unusual character for the West, being extremely educated and refined, which was uncommon in those parts. He spoke Latin and played piano. He dressed nappy as well. His intelligence made him a great gambler. This would become his new profession. He was an active participant as well as a poker and faro dealer. He and 12 others were indicted on the 12th of May, 1864 for illegal gambling.
74.
Yeah, 1874. During this time, Doc was miserable with the knowledge of his impending death. He was moody, a heavy drinker with a no near for... Why not? He's dying anyway, right? He knew that his new career as a gambler was a dangerous one, so he needed means to protect himself. He started practicing with a 6-shooter, and he also had a long knife to hone his skills.
His first gunfight ever occurred January 2nd, 1875, when he and a local saloon keeper named Austin had an agreement, or a disagreement. Several shots. He's like, don't you agree with me? Several shots were fired, and neither man were hit, but both were arrested, as reported in the Dallas Weekly Herald. The townspeople thought the gunfight was amusing, until a few days later when Doc got into another one.
Oh, shit.
This time, he shot and killed a prominent citizen with 2 bullets.
Uh-oh.
Fleeing the posse that wanted him dead, he went to Jacksboro, Texas, which was a wild and lawless town. It was a cow town near an army post. He found a job dealing faro and now carried a gun on a shoulder holster, another on his hip, and he had a knife at all times. Doc was an expert shot with a 6-shooter by now, and in the town he was involved in 3 more gunfights. He left 1 man dead, but no action was taken against him in the lawless town.
All right.
This is what goes on in Jacksboro stays in Jacksboro.
Summer 1876. Another argument led to him shooting and killing a soldier from Fort Richardson. Uh-oh. This forced the United States government to become involved, and he was hunted by the Army, the Texas Rangers, United States Marshal, and local lawmen, even citizens that wanted to collect the bounty on his head. Doc knew he would be hanged if he was caught, so he fled to Apache country in the Kansas Territory, which is now Colorado.
Okay.
On his way, he stopped in Pueblo, Georgetown, Leadville, and Central City, killing 3 more people. Jeez. Finally, Doc arrived in Denver under the name Tom Mackey, and he worked as a faro dealer at Babbitt's Theater, 357 Blake Street. It was here that he got into a fight with Bud Ryan, who was a known gambler in this very area. Doc, guess what he did? You guessed it. He nearly cut his head off with his knife. Ryan survived, but his face and neck were mutilated. Oh, man.
Well, then Holliday was basically forced out of town and went to Cheyenne, Wyoming, and found work as a dealer for Babbitt's partner, Thomas Miller, this time at the Bella Union Saloon.
Okay.
In the fall of 76, Miller moved the Bella Union to Deadwood, and Holliday went with him. By early 77, he returned to Cheyenne, visited an aunt in Kansas.
What? Doc Holliday was in Deadwood?
Yeah, maybe.
Who's this Miller guy? That was supposed to be Cyrus, or what's his name?
Isn't that what it was there?
I don't think his name was Miller. His name was, what the hell was his name?
Cy.
Yeah, Cy fucking...
Tolliver or something,
Tolliver,
right?
yeah.
But it wasn't at the Bella Union?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was the Bella Union.
Yeah, 1877, he returned to Cheyenne, visited an aunt in Kansas, and on to Breckenridge, Texas to gamble. July 4th, 1877, he had a disagreement with gambler Henry Kahn and beat him with his walking stick.
Oh, shit.
Jeez. Both men were arrested and fined. Kahn wasn't done, though. Later that day, he shot and seriously wounded Holliday.
Oh, shit.
July 7th, the Dallas Weekly Herald incorrectly reported that Holliday had been killed. His cousin George then moved him west to help him recover. He said, you got to come over here, guy.
Man. Well, Doc did recover. He went to Fort Griffin, Texas, dealing cards at John Chancey's saloon. He met Mary Catherine Elder Haroni, who was known as Big Nose Kate. We all know who Big Nose Kate is. I think we did a show on her.
Nope.
Didn't it?
Why would we have done a show on her?
We didn't?
And no.
Oh, she was tough. She was stubborn. She had a temper that matched Doc's. Even though she was an educated woman, she worked as a whore because she liked it, saying she belonged to no man or no house. She is the only woman known to have a relationship with old Doc Holliday.
Good for him. By this time, Wyatt Earp was on the trail of Dirty Dave Rudabaugh. Oh, Dirty Dave, who had just robbed a train. Arriving in Fort Griffin, he went up to the largest saloon in town, which was the Beehive Saloon, which was owned by Chancey. Chancey told Earp that Dirty Dave had passed through town, but didn't know where he was headed. He said, go talk to Doc. I think him and Dave played poker earlier.
Right.
It was well known that Doc hated lawmen, so Earp was skeptical to talk to him. He ended up going over to him, and Doc told him that he thought he said he'd going back to Texas, or Kansas. Texas, Kansas.
The good thing about the movie Wyatt Earp with Kevin Costner is they go through this scene like in depth, so that's pretty nice. I mean, they have to. The movie's 3.5 hours long.
Right. They got to fill time somehow. Earp wired the info to Bat Masterson, who was Dodge City sheriff, and Doc's tip led to the capture of Dirty Dave. Snitch.
Right.
Earp and Doc started a friendship that would last for many, many years, in the words of Dang. Earp left for Fort Griffin, eventually ended up in Dodge City to become assistant marshal. Look at you, guy.
Look at him. Look at Earp. Sometime in 1877, old Doc, he was dealing cards at a saloon. A local bully named Ed Bailey. He was very unimpressed by Doc and wanted to irritate him. He kept picking up the discards and throwing and looking at them, which was prohibited in Western poker. Yeah, you can't touch any cards that's not yours. And it would cause you to lose the very pot that you are playing. Holliday, he warned Bailey twice, but he ignored him. He's like, I'm not going to tell you again, boy. You don't pick out those cards. I can't do a Val Kilmer.
Right. Nobody can.
Right. He picked up the discards again, but this time Doc raked in the pot without saying a word. Bailey immediately drew his pistol, but before he could pull the trigger, Doc slashed the man across the stomach. Oh, with blood everywhere. Bailey laid on the table dying. Damn, dude.
Doc didn't run because his actions were in self-defense.
That's true.
But he was still arrested and put in a local hotel room as the town didn't have a jail. A vigilante group formed to get revenge on Doc. Knowing that the mob would overtake the law, Big Nose Kate set fire to an old shed.
Oh, shit.
The fire threatened to engulf the whole town, so the mob turned their attention to putting it out. While everyone was distracted, Kate went up to the lone guard with 2 pistols, freed Doc, and got the hell out of there. Said, let's go, sugar daddy.
They hid out for the night and then stole horses. Oh, no, now they're horse thieves? Shit. They stole horses the next morning and headed for Dodge City. They get out of Dodge to go to Dodge.
Right.
They registered at the Cox's boarding house and Dr. and Mrs. J.H. Holliday. Grateful for what Kate did for him, he wanted to make her so happy that he gave up gambling. He went back to being a dentist. He ran this ad in the very newspaper. It said, Dentistry, John H. Holliday, dentist. Very respectfully offers his professional services to the citizens of Dodge City and the surrounding county during the summer. During the summer? Office at room number 24, Dodge House. Where satisfaction is not given, money will be refunded.
Look at you.
Kate promised to give up being a whore, too. She's like, I won't whore around anymore, baby. She's like, I won't even hang around the saloons either. Well, Kate got bored and couldn't stand the quiet, so she told Doc that she was going back to the bright lights of the dance halls and gambling dens. The two split, the first of many times.
Yep, Doc went back to gambling as well, and he started dealing cards at the Long Branch Saloon. Doc kept to the law while in Dodge City. Obviously, he got his good buddy there. Then, one day, a number of Texas cowboys arrived with a herd of cattle ready to let loose after many weeks on the trail.
Yeah.
The group was led by Ed Morrison, who Earp had humiliated in Wichita a few months ago, and with him was a man named Toby Driscoll. They came through town, guns ablazing, shooting out windows, and entered the Long Branch Saloon and started harassing customers. Then Earp burst through the door, only to find several guns pointing at his face. Morrison stepped forward and said, Pray and jerk your gun. Your time has come, Earp.
Oh, shit. These guys are some assholes. Then a voice behind Morrison said, No, friend. You draw or throw your hands up. Doc had a revolver to Morrison's temple. He was playing cards in the back and heard the commotion. He then said, If any of you bastards pull a gun, and your leader here loses what's left of his brains.
Ooh.
They all dropped their arms. Earp busted Morrison over the head with his gun. Yeah, Kurt Russell looked like a little bitch at that scene.
He did, too.
He then took Morrison and Driscoll to jail. Wyatt, didn't he grab him by the ears or something?
Yeah, no, that was the other guy.
Wyatt never forgot that Doc saved his life that night. Later saying, the only way anyone could have appreciated the feeling I had for Doc after the Driscoll-Morrison business would have been to have stood in my boots at that time. Doc came through the Long Branch doorway.
Yeah, Bray was scared shitless.
Yeah, but
Well, sometime later, Doc and Kate got into an argument, and pissed off, Doc left and winded up in Trinidad, Colorado.
oh shit,
Just leave.
just wind up. Where am I? You're in Trinidad, Colorado, bud.
All right, well, get the cards. After arriving there, he was goaded into a gunfight with a local gambler named Kid Colton. The kid ended up dead on the street. Not wanting to linger around after that, he went to Las Vegas, New Mexico in late 1879. The 22 hot springs near their town were favored by individuals with tuberculosis for their alleged healing properties.
All right.
He practiced dentistry for a minute, but then he was like, I think I'll buy a saloon.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Sucks to be him, though.
All right. Soon after, the New Mexico territorial legislator, they passed a bill banning gambling within the territory with surprising ease. 8th of March, 1879, Holliday indicted for keeping a gaming table.
Wow.
He's fined $25. August 1879, he got into argument with a man named Mike Gordon. They went out to the street where Doc told him to shoot any time. Gordon did, but ended up with 3 shots in his chest. Nope, in his stomach.
Stomach, close.
A lynch mob then formed once again around Doc Holliday and drove him back to Dodge City, where he found that Kate was gone and Earp had went to Tombstone to strike it rich. With nothing left in Dodge City, he's like, well, I guess I'll go to Tombstone as well.
Guess I'll go out there, why not? Well, unknown to him, Kate was also on the way to Tombstone, and the two ran into each other in Prescott, Arizona. Kate was happy to keep Doc company, because this dude was earning about $40,000 in winnings from gambling.
Damn.
How long? Like, what, monthly?
He was rich.
Weekly?
It doesn't matter. That's what,
Right.
$1 million. More?
By early 1880, they arrived in Tombstone. There, he not only ran into Wyatt, but his brothers James, Virgil, and Morgan.
Now look at that shit.
James was a faro dealer at a saloon, while Virgil was the deputy marshal. He appointed Wyatt the city marshal, and Morgan was an officer. Oh, poor Morgan. The Clanton gang, they hated that the Earps were there and let it be known that they were not wanted. Holliday was a welcomed addition to the fight against the Cowboys. Well, Kate ended up running a boarding house in Globe, Arizona, about 175 miles away. Although, obviously, when she was in town, she would stay with Doc. Why would she not?
Right. I mean, come on. Good for Kate, right? 15th of March, 1881. 4 men robbed a stagecoach, killed the driver and passenger. Earlier, Kate and Doc got into an argument, and he kicked her out. Sheriff Behan and Milt Joyce saw an opportunity to blame Doc and found Kate still drunk and talking shit about Doc. They gave her more booze and had her sign an affidavit that said Doc was involved. Oh, my. A warrant was issued for Holliday's arrest. Later that very day, a drunk Holliday, he went into Joyce's saloon and demanded his firearm back that was taken earlier. Joyce refused and threw him out. Doc came back with a revolver and started shooting, supposedly.
Joyce pulled a pistol out, and Doc shot him in the hand. Joyce's bartender grabbed a gun, but Doc shot him in the toe. Jeez. Joyce then picked up his pistol and pistol whipped Doc, knocking him out. He was arrested, found guilty, fined $20 for assault, plus $11.25 for court costs. By this time, the Earps were looking for people who could give Doc an alibi to prove he wasn't the one that robbed the stage. Kate sobered up, and she's like, I did what?
Like, no, Doc would never do that.
I did what? And then she immediately retracted her statement. She's like, shit, he's going to kill me. Charges were thrown out on Doc, and then Doc gave Kate some money and said, you got to get the hell out of here.
Look what you did, you dumb
You
bitch.
fucking idiot.
Summer of 1881. Tensions between the Clantons and the Earps increasing. 25th of October. Ike Clanton spent the day getting drunk and yelling and telling everybody that he was going to send Wyatt to Boot Hill and also threatening the other Earps and Doc as well. Doc confronted him and said, I heard you're going to kill me, Ike. Get out your gun and commence. Virgil was there, and he said that he would arrest both men if they didn't stop. Clanton stepped down, but not before saying he was going to kill you tomorrow when the others come to town.
Isn't this the scene in the movie where Doc starts coughing and coughing up blood and shit?
All right.
Oh, you lunger.
Yeah, Ike spotted Wyatt on the street and shouted, tell your consumptive friend, your Arizona Nightingale, he's a dead man tomorrow. To which Wyatt replied, don't you tangle with Doc. He'll kill you before you begun. Before Ike left, he said, get ready for a showdown. And there was.
Oh, shit.
It fucking was.
Well, Wednesday, October 26, 1881, was an overcast. It was a beautiful day. Beautiful day. Wednesday, October 26, 1881, was an overcast, windy day. The Earps, in anticipation of trouble, woke early. As Virgil watched from his hotel window, he saw Billy Clanton ride into town, accompanied by friend Billy Claiborne. Well, they met the McClory brothers and Ike Clanton on Allen Street. Ike was looking for Holliday, but before he could find him, Virgil and Morgan confronted him. Ike, bracing a shotgun, exchanged words with the two, but when Clanton raised his rifle, Virgil subdued him, impounded his rifle, and dragged him before the justice of the peace, who fined Ike $27.50 for carrying firearms in the city.
Did nothing but piss him off even more. Wyatt and Tom McClory, both hearing what had happened, they met at the judge's door simultaneously, literally bumping into each other. Though Wyatt apologized, McClory insulted him, and in return, Wyatt brought his gun down on McClory's head. Oh, shit.
Wyatt just loves to pistol whip people, don't he? Jeez. Later that morning, the Cowboys met at Spangenberg's, which was a gunsmith shop. Then Frank McClory rode his horse onto the boardwalk, frightening pedestrians off its path outside the gunsmith.
Stupid shit like that. I mean, it's dumb.
Wyatt grabbed the horse's reins, leading it to the streets as McClory yelled profanities. After this latest confrontation, their outlaws retreated around the corner off Allen Street. With all the tension, there was bound to be a fight. Several members of the town's citizens committee offered assistance to the Earp brothers, but thanking them, Wyatt said it was his and his brother's responsibility as law officers. You guys are citizens. You have no part in this. We're going to protect you.
Right, we got it. Then a guy named John Behan, county sheriff, he appeared pronouncing Ike Clanton and his crew are on Fremont Street talking gun talk. Ike Clanton, the two McClorys, Billy Clanton and Billy Claiborne, they met in a vacant lot planning to bushwhack Doc Holliday, who passed that way every morning. As chief marshal, Virgil agreed to go down there to break them up, but contended that Behan should accompany him as well.
Since he is the county sheriff.
Behan only laughed. He said, hell, this is your fight, not mine. However, the Cowboys were surprised when the Earps showed up, and Doc was with them.
Well, they were all dressed in black while Doc was in gray and whistling. The two forces finally met 90 yards down an alley from the OK Corral. Yeah, see, it was never in the OK Corral either, guys.
No.
The gunfight occurred off Fremont Street between Fly's Photo Gallery and Jersey's Livery Stable.
It was like this little...
It was just an empty lot.
Right.
Well, the Earps passed by the OK Corral but cut through the alley where they found the troublemakers waiting at the other end. Virgil said, "You are under arrest for attempting to disturb the peace." The gang and Doc and Morgan simultaneously braced for action, to which Virgil shouted, "Hold on, I don't want that."
Right.
And then it happened.
Oh.
The whole thing lasted about 30 seconds. The gang fired the first shots, but Doc was the first to hit someone, when his bullet tore through Frank McClory's stomach.
Damn.
Billy Clanton was struck in the ribs by Morgan. Billy Claiborne ran away, and Ike dropped his gun, pleading for his life.
I bet he did.
Wyatt yelled for Ike to fight or get out like Claiborne. Ike ran away to the photography shop. He said, okay.
Wow. As Ike was running, he drew a gun and shot at Wyatt, distracting Morgan long enough so Tom McClory could put a bullet in his side. Oh. Doc instantly blew Tom away with a blast from his shotgun. Ooh. Billy Clanton, wounded, and started shooting anywhere around him, striking Virgil in his leg. Wyatt then responded by sending several rounds into Billy. When it was all over, Morgan and Virgil went home to get medical attention. 30-second shootout left Billy Clanton, Frank, and Tom McClory dead. All by the hands of Wyatt Earp. Well, I guess Frank was from Doc.
Right. Clearly. Tom was from Doc. Tom was from Doc. And Doc tore through Frank McClory's stomach and then instantly blew Tom away with a blast from a shotgun.
All right, Doc did, yeah, that's right.
Right. Sheriff Behan approached Wyatt and Doc, informing them that they were under arrest. They were tried for murder, but it was determined that they were acting within the law. Clearly, after this, Doc had a run-in with Johnny Ringo, but nothing came of it since Doc knew he was drunk. He said, we'll find it out one of these days.
Right.
March 18th, 1882, the Cowboys gang struck again while Morgan Earp played pool at Campbell and Hatch's saloon.
Uh-oh.
Shot was fired from the alley's darkness, striking Morgan in the back.
Damn.
Morgan's body was dressed in one of Doc Holliday's suits and shipped to the parents in Colton, California for burial.
Damn. Damn, Earp boys.
They're not even going to mention Virgil was shot.
In the leg.
Virgil got shot walking through the street before Morgan got killed.
2 days later, the Earp party encountered Frank Stillwell and Ike Clanton at the Tucson Railroad Station. Wyatt chased Stillwell down the track, filling him full of holes.
They're dead.
The coroner's jury named Wyatt and Warren Earp, Doc Holliday, Texas Jack Vermillion, and Sherman McMasters as the men who had killed Stillwell, and warrants were all issued for their arrest. Oh, shit.
Yep, Earp sought vengeance on the man who shot Virgil and killed Morgan, and killing Stillwell was just his first step, and Doc Holloway rode beside him the whole way.
Yep.
Wyatt heard that Pete Spence was at his wood camp in the Dragoons, and on March 21st, 1882, he and his men quickly headed out, finding not Pete Spencer, but Florentino Cruz instead.
Oh, look at that.
By the way, this is Earp's Vendetta Ride, which we'll get more into depth on the OK Corral, as well as the Vendetta Ride in Wyatt Earp's episode.
Right. The frightened Cruz named all the men who had murdered Morgan, himself included. Earp and his men filled Cruz with bullet holes. The Earp posse rode out once again. 24th of March, 1882, they ran into Curly Bill Brocious and 8 of his men near Iron Springs. Gunfight ensued where Curly Bill was killed, and Johnny Barnes received a wound from which he eventually died as well.
You know, just over a year, the Earp posse, along with Doc Holliday, he would be the posse,
Right.
eliminated Old Man Clanton, Billy Clanton, Frank McClory, Tom McClory, Frank Stillwell, Indian Charlie, Dixie Gray, Florentino Cruz, Johnny Barnes, Jim Crane, Harry Head, Bill Leonard, Joe Hill, Luther King, Charlie Snow, Billy Lang, Zwing Hunt, Billy Grounds, and Hake Swilling. Pete Spence turned himself into the authorities where he could hide in prison. Yeah.
My.
Dude, they just literally mass murdered. Not mass murdered, but like they're serial killers now.
Wow. May of 1882, Wyatt and Doc left Tombstone, swearing to never return, but still vowing revenge on the remaining gang members. They rode their horses to Silver City, New Mexico, and sold them, and they rode a stage to Colorado. On the way, Earp and Doc had a falling out after Doc said Earp was becoming a Jew boy.
Yeah.
Because Earp was staying with a Jewish man and touched a mezuzah when he entered the house. They parted ways. Shortly after he arrived in Denver, Doc arrested by a man named Perry Mallon. Some people thought Perry Mallon was a brother to Johnny Tyler, which was a foe of Holliday, and a would-be gunman that Doc ran out of Tombstone. Some people say.
Some people say. May 22nd, 1882, while Doc was in jail, the Denver Republican printed the following. Holliday has a big reputation as a fighter and has probably put more rustlers and cowboys under the sod than any other one man in the West. He had been the terror of the lawless element in Arizona, and with the Earps, was the only man brave enough to face the bloodthirsty crowd which has made the name of Arizona a stench in the nostrils of decent men. Oh, jeez.
Oh, wow. Mallon, he told the paper that he was standing alongside when Curly Bill Brocious was moited. Doc related his thoughts. 8 rustlers rose from behind the bank and poured from 35 to 40 shots at us. Our escape was miraculous. The shots cut our clothes and saddles and killed 1 horse, but did not hit us. We would have been killed if God Almighty wasn't on our side. Old Wyatt Earp turned loose with a shotgun and killed Curly Bill. The 8 men in the gang which attacked us were all outlaws, for each of whom had a big reward has been offered. If Malin was alongside Curly Bill, he was killed. He was with one of the worst gangs of murderers and robbers in the country. Look at that old Doc.
It's true. Fearing that Doc would not receive a fair trial if he was extradited to Arizona, Wyatt had Bat Masterson assist with the case. Eventually, Doc's troubles ended with the Rocky Mountain News reported on May 30th. Doc Holliday's case was finally disposed of by Governor Pitkin yesterday. His Excellency decided that he could not honor the requisition from Arizona. He said, we're not going to extradite him.
All right.
The district attorney's office was represented by Honorable I.E. Barnum, assistant district attorney, who was accompanied on his visit to the governor by Deputy Sheriff Linton and Sheriff Paul of Arizona, among others. Among others present were Deputy Sheriff Masterson of Trinidad and several friends of Holliday. Okay, cool. Did anyone mention Wyatt? Wyatt wasn't there?
Right. 14th of July, 1882. Holliday's longtime enemy, Johnny Ringo, found dead in a low fork of a large tree in West Turkey Creek Valley, near Chiracahua Peak, Arizona Territory. He had a bullet hole in his right temple, and a revolver was found hanging from a finger of his hand. A coroner's inquest officially ruled his death a suicide. Wow. But according to the book, I Married Wyatt Earp, which author and collector Glenn Boyer claimed to have assembled from manuscripts written by Earp's third wife, Josephine Marcus Earp. Earp and Holliday traveled to Arizona with some friends in early July, found Ringo in the valley, and killed him.
Why not? Boyer refused to produce his source manuscripts, and reporters wrote that his explanations were conflicting and not credible.
Right.
New York Times contributor Alan Barra, he wrote that the book is now recognized by Earp researchers as a hoax.
Yeah.
A variant of the story popularized in the movie Tombstone holds that Holliday stepped in for Earp in response to a gunfight challenge from Ringo and shot him.
Right.
So, did he really kill him?
Right. Evidence is very unclear as to Holiday's exact whereabouts on the day of Ringo's death. Records of the District Court of Pueblo County, Colorado, indicate that Holliday and his attorney appeared in court in Pueblo on the 11th of July, and again on the 14th to answer charges of larceny. Okay. But a writ of capias was issued for him on the 11th, suggesting that he may not have been in court that day.
Oh.
Well, the Pueblo Daily Chieftain reported that Holliday was seen in Salida, Colorado on the 7th of July, more than 550 miles from where Ringo's body was found. And then again in Leadville on July 18th. Holliday biographer Karen Holliday Tanner noted that there was still an outstanding murder warrant in Arizona for Holliday's arrest, making it very unlikely that he would even choose to re-enter Arizona at that time.
So what happened?
Right.
Maybe he did, though. I don't think he really cares, right?
Right.
Well, shortly after this, railroad contractor James H. Kiner hired Doc to motivate the proprietors of dozens of gambling and saloon tents to leave the 41-mile stretch of railroad line that he and another contractor were constructing between Glenwood Springs and Aspen. Drunkenness of the workers boozing it up at the saloon tents was causing trouble, and there was too many for Kiner to want to deal with the problem himself.
Right.
Kiner had heard that a gunman named Doc Holliday had been hired before by a group of men who wanted to drive off others who had staked claims to the same nearby coal deposit. It gave him the idea of hiring them to make his troublemakers leave.
Okay. Well, Kiner, he was staying at the Glenwood Hotel. When Holliday was pointed out to him one day, he initiated a discussion about it. Without hesitation, Holliday told Kiner he could do it for $250. Kiner was later told by several men that every saloon and gambling tent along the line had disappeared, except for one that was in a draw a half a mile from the line. He met Holliday the next evening and asked, "What luck?" Holliday replied, "Oh, they moved." And without another word, Kiner paid him $250.
All right, look at that. Holliday's last known confrontation took place in Hyman's Saloon in Leadville, Colorado, 1884. Down to his last dollar, he had pawned his jewelry, then borrowed $5, which is equivalent to $170, today's money, from William J. Billy Allen. Allen was a bartender and special officer at the Monarch Saloon and a former policeman, which enabled Allen to carry a gun and make arrests within the Monarch Saloon. Wow. When Allen repeatedly demanded he be repaid by August 19th or else, Holliday could not comply and was afraid. Holliday was afraid.
Oh, wow. Doc knew that Allen usually stopped by Hyman's saloon when he was finished at the Monarch. So Doc, he planned to confront Allen at Hyman's on the 19th of August. He's so afraid, huh? On his way to Hyman's, Doc bumped into Marshal Harvey Fawcett and explained his situation. Fawcett informed Doc that Allen couldn't carry a weapon outside of the Monarch. Fawcett testified later that Doc replied, "I'll get a shotgun and shoot him on sight."
Jeez, why would you say that to damn deputy?
Wow.
Marshal.
Fawcett then went to the Monarch to warn Allen, but Allen had already left for Hyman's.
Uh-oh. Well, Doc went on to Hyman's, where he stashed a gun near the door under the bar and waited for Allen to appear. As Allen left the Monarch, Cy Allen, which is one of Monarch's proprietors, warned him against hunting up Holliday just then. Billy Allen answered there would be no trouble and, with a careless air, walked out. When Allen came through Hyman's door, Doc reached under the bar, grabbed his gun, and shot him. The first shot missed and slammed into the doorframe. Startled, Allen spun his heel, intending to flee, but tripped over the threshold and pitched forward, landing on his hands and knees. Oh no.
Damn.
I was going to say, he's going to execute him?
The ex-policeman scrambled to get to his feet. Holliday leaned over the cigar case, and almost on top of the man he'd been the hunter only seconds earlier, fired again. The shot hit its mark. The bullet tore into Allen's right arm from the rear, about halfway between the shoulder and the elbow, and passed clear through, severing an artery in its flight. Jolted upright, Allen stumbled outside. He staggered against the wall of Dave May's clothing store that was next door. By now, he was in shock and bleeding freely. He fainted into the arms of an onlooker. Allen's mate Hardy was sewn up by a doctor, and he survived, although his arm was always funny afterwards.
Okay. Doc Holliday was arrested and put on trial. During the trial, the preponderance of testimony at Holliday's hearing went to show that Allen was not armed. No gun was ever found. But by then, the overriding Western credo of no duty to retreat had won the day with public sentiment. No duty to retreat was a belief enacted in the laws of several states that a man who was without blame for provoking a confrontation was not obliged to flee from his assailant, but was free to stand his ground regardless of the consequences.
All right.
He claimed self-defense, noting that Allen outweighed him by 50 pounds, and he feared for his life. March 28th, 1885, the jury acquitted Holliday. Yeah, but this time he's all frail and...
Right. Damn. Well, Holliday went on to spend his remaining days in Colorado. After his stay in Leadville, he suffered from the high altitude. He increasingly deepened on alcohol and laudanum to ease the symptoms of tuberculosis. His health, his skills as a gambler began to deteriorate. By the winter of 1885, Holliday, fearing a bout of pneumonia in the city and the clouds, migrated to Denver. What's the difference?
Right.
Though he did not improve in Denver, he was able to see his old friend Wyatt Earp in the late winter of 1886, where they met in the lobby of the Windsor Hotel. Sadie Marcus described the skeletal Holliday as having a continuous cough and standing on unsteady legs. Damn, that's got to be terrible, terrible.
Holliday's health continued to deteriorate. As a realist, Doc was not one to believe in miraculous cures, but hoping that the Yampa hot springs and sulfur vapors might improve his health, he headed for Glenwood Springs, Colorado, May of 1887. Registering at the Hotel Glenwood, he grew steadily worse, spending his last 57 days in bed at the hotel, and was delirious for 14 of them.
Jeez.
November 8, 1887, he awoke clear-eyed and asked for a glass of whiskey. It was given to him, and he drank it down with enjoyment. Then, looking down at his bare feet, he said, "This is funny." And then he died. He always figured he would be killed with his boots on. Doc Holliday had come west years before, knowing his days were numbered. He never believed that he would die in bed. He often said that he would end up dying from lead poisoning at the end of a rope, or a knife in his ribs, or he just might drink himself to death.
Nope, his mom killed him.
Right.
Damn. His obituary appearing in Leadville Carbonet Chronicle, 14th November, 1887. There's scarcely one in the country who had acquired a greater notoriety than Doc Holliday, who enjoyed the reputation of being one of the most fearless men on the frontier, and whose devotion to his friends in the climax of the fiercest ordeal was inextinguishable. It was this, more than any other faculty, that secured for him the reverence of a large circle, who were prepared on the shortest notice to rally to his relief. That's a decent little obituary there, huh?
Sure. The Glenwood Springs Cemetery sits high upon a steep hill overlooking the valley below. But at the time of his death, the steep road was too icy, so they buried him at the bottom of the hill
that sucks.
with the intention of moving his body when the ice thawed. They never did it. Many years later, a housing development was built at the base of the hill, and though a marker sits in the cemetery, his actual remains are probably buried in somebody's backyard.
Oh, my.
How did I just forget about him?
That's insane.
Doc Holliday claimed he almost lost his life a total of 9 times. 4 attempts were made to hang him. He was shot at 5 times. How many men Holliday killed is unknown for sure.
Quite a bit, probably.
I would assume.
Well, Doc is one of the most recognizable figures in the American Old West, but he is most remembered for his friendship with Wyatt Earp and his role at the gunfight at OK Corral.
Yeah.
Holliday's friendship with the lawman has been a staple of popular sidekicks in American Western culture. Holliday himself became a stereotypical image of a deputy and a loyal companion in modern times. He is typically portrayed in films as being loyal to his friend Wyatt, whom he sticks with during the duo's greatest conflicts, such as the gunfight at OK Corral and Earp's vendetta, even with the ensuing violence and hardships which they both endured.
Aww.
Together with Wyatt, Doc has become a modern symbol of loyalty, brotherhood, and friendship.
Aww. In an 1896 article, Wyatt Earp said, I found him a loyal friend and good company. He was a dentist whom necessity had made a gambler, a gentleman whom disease had made a vagabond, a philosopher whom life had made a caustic wit, a long, lean, blond fellow nearly dead with consumption, and at the same time, the most skillful gambler and nerviest, speediest, deadliest man with a 6-gun I ever knew. In a newspaper interview, Holliday was once asked if his conscience ever troubled him. He's reported to have said, I coughed that out with my lungs years ago.
Jeez. Sounds about right. Well, stupid Bat Masterson, he has several contacts with Holliday over his lifetime. And the two men developed a dislike for each other. They tolerated each other only because they were both friends of Wyatt Earp.
For Wyatt.
Right. We were doing this for Wyatt. Masterson wrote in an article about Holliday, while he never did anything to entitle him to a statue in the Hall of Fame,
Hall of Fame of what?
Doc Holliday was nevertheless a most picturesque character on the western border in those days when the pistol instead of law determined issues. Holliday had a mean disposition and an uncomfortable nature and temper, and under the influence of liquor was the most dangerous man. Physically, Doc Holliday was a weakling who could not have whipped a healthy 15-year-old boy in a go-as-you-please fistfight. Wow.
Jesus. Talk about a backhanded compliment.
Wow, I didn't know we're dealing with Wangling.
Right. Compliment sandwiches over here.
Oh, Bat Wangling, he wrote that Holliday was quick to go for his gun when
Why
threatened.
wouldn't you? Jeez. When you couldn't whip a 15-year-old boy, I guess. Cat Williams. The Holliday birth home is marked with a historical marker located in Fayetteville, Georgia.
Fantastic.
A life-size statue of Holliday and Earp by sculptor Dan Bates was dedicated by the Southern Arizona Transportation Museum at the restored Historic Railroad Depot in Tucson.
Fantastic.
And that happened March 20th, 2005, the 122nd anniversary of the killing of Frank Stillwell by Wyatt.
Oh, wow.
The statue stands at the approximate site of the shooting on the train platform.
Fantastic.
Oh,
cool. Look at that. That worked out. Doc Holliday Days are held yearly in Holliday's birthplace of Griffin, Georgia. Doc Holliday Days. That's a weird thing to say. Valdosta, Georgia held a Doc Holliday look-alike contest in 2010, even though it seems like nobody even knows what he looks like.
Right.
They did this to coincide with its sesquicentennial celebration. Tombstone holds an annual Doc Holliday Days, which started in 2017. Celebrate the gunfighter and dentist on the second weekend of August each year. And we got time. Events include gunfights. Oh, shit. I bet I had to go to Chicago for that. A parade and a Doc Holliday look-alike contest as well. Val Kilmer, who played Doc Holliday in 1993's Tombstone, was the Grand Marshal in 2017.
Oh, look at that.
Dennis Quaid, who played Doc in 1994's Wyatt Earp, was the Grand Marshal in 2018.
Look at that. That's going to do it for Doc Holliday, everybody. The re-recording of Doc Holliday. Hopefully, all the F-bombs are out and all you guys got your straight little information like all you guys have ever wanted. There it is, Doc Holliday.
Old Docster.
Old Docster. Next week, last Tuesday of the month, that means it's Serial Killer of the Month.
Bum, bum, bum.
Which we're going to stick with the Old West theme. And we're going to cover the Hart brothers, who very well could be the first serial killers in American history, even though Triple H is credited as that. Right. But these Hart brothers were supposedly some mean hombres. What are they all about? I forget already. Mm-hmm. They were highwaymen, river pirates who operated in Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, and Mississippi in the late 18th century. They are often considered the earliest documented serial killers in United States history. They were loyal to the British Crown during the Revolution of America. Yeah, these guys, we're talking about stuff that took place in the late 1700s, guys. Right. So we're going to go way back in time for these two. And they got a pretty decent story. They did some things. I thought they had a better one. No, there's other stuff. So, yeah. I'm going to go back in time for some serial killing next week, so make sure you join us then. Reminder, check out our YouTube. Check out our YouTube. Subscribe. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, give us a review. Share us with your friends. Answer that Spotify question next week. Serial Killer of the Month. We'll see you then. Where are the Mother Michigan as we...
Dang, dang.